In 1863, geologist James Hector led an expedition to explore the western reaches of Otago through to the west coast. The first part of the expedition was by land and the second part by sea. Amongst Hector's travelling companions was artist and botanist John Buchanan, and some of the sketches Buchanan made during these travels can be found in albums housed at Toitū Otago Settlers Museum. In today's Talking Pictures, we're going to look at some of the views Buchanan captured during the latter part of the expedition, as he made his way through Fiordland on the boat trip back home to Dunedin. Hector was hoping to find a low route to the west coast via the headwaters of the Matukituki River. He spent several months in the area during the first part of 1863. Then in May, having gained approval from his provincial government masters to extend the survey to include an approach from the west by boat, Hector set sail from Otago harbour on board the schooner Matilda Hayes. After putting ashore at Bluff and spending some time around Invercargill, the voyage then resumed from Riverton, visited Stewart Island, before spending almost a month exploring preservation and chalky inlets. Late July and much of August were spent in and around Doubtful, Thompson and Milford Sounds. In late August, the expedition arrived at Martins Bay, and leaving the Matilda Hayes at anchor at the mouth of the Hollyford River, Hector resumed his quest to find a low passage through the mountains on foot. Several weeks later, on the 4th of October, he finally showed up back in Queenstown. That's where, on the 25th of October, Buchanan rejoined the party, as they began the trek back via the mountains and Lake Makero, to where the Matilda Hayes lay at anchor in Martins Bay. They made it back on the 7th of November, and spent some time in and around Martins Bay before heading south. Buchanan made several sketches here, including these two views, one of which shows the Matilda Hayes at anchor inside what Buchanan calls the Kaduku sand spit, presumably in reference to the Hollyford River, or Whakatipu Kātuka, which discharges into Martins Bay. Next, it was off to Milford Sound, arriving there on the 25th of November. Although only a day and a half was spent in Milford Sound, it gave Buchanan enough time to produce quite a number of sketches. This one is a view he must have sketched either approaching or sailing away from the Sound. This one, of the head of the Sound, likely formed the basis for this watercolour view of the same scene. These two were likely used by Buchanan to compose his most famous work, the iconic watercolour panorama titled Milford Sound Looking Northwest from Freshwater Basin, which today resides in the Hocken collections. Here are another two that are believed to have also been later recreated as a single view. After the short stay in Milford Sound, the Matilda Hayes headed for Bligh and George Sounds. On the 4th of December, Buchanan records in his journal that he went up Kakapo Peak, 3,800 feet, and that the Kakapo tracks were well marked, which is what he's captured in this sketch, looking back down to George Sound. Next stop was Dusky Sound on the 10th of December. On the 18th of December, the Matilda Hayes moved to anchor in Cascade Cove. And the following day, Buchanan records that he went up a mountain, which is how he captured this amazing panoramic bird's-eye view of Dusky Bay. Some days later, the Matilda Hayes shifted anchor again, this time to the Seal Islands, where Buchanan produced sketches such as this one, and this one, and perhaps this one, of the entrance to the bay. From Dusky Bay, it was off to Chalky Inlet, and here we have sketches of Southport and Chalky Island. The explorers arrived at Southport on the 31st of December 1863, spent New Year's Day there, and on the 2nd of January sailed for Bluff before returning home. So that's it for the story of John Buchanan's visual record of the 1863 expedition to the West Coast Sounds. See you next time, and thanks for watching.